Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region.
Hi, I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Matt O'Lean. On this edition of Prairie Mosaic, we'll learn about Minnesota lake culture, watch a master woodcarver, and listen to a group of musicians who know how to play an Irish jig. For more than 40 years, John Oleson has been creating beautiful glassware. From his studio near Clitheroe, Minnesota, he creates everything from wall sculptures to bowls, vases, wine, and martini glasses. His passion for glassblowing can be seen in these one-of-a-kind designs.
My interest in glass blowing is unique to glass in the fact that it can go from these vivid, bright, opaque colors to beautiful jewel-toned, transparent colors. And the fact that it's transparent, you can add great depth to the work, things that you can't do necessarily in some other art forms. So it just has that breadth of expression that you can utilize, and it's fairly immediate. Anything like a wine glass I make today is available tomorrow. My name is John Oleson. I am an artist focusing in glass, and we are at White Pine Studios. We're in south central Otter Tail County. White Pine Studio has been here since 2002. My work consists of two different aspects of glass art, where I mainly focus on wholesale work selling to galleries, and that consists of vases, bowls, and a lot of stemware, a lot of wine glasses, martini glasses, other high-end drinkware. That's kind of the bread and butter of what I do. And I also work in commission work where I'll do specialty pieces for walls and people's homes and some public art.
So all glass blowing starts with a blowpipe, and the blowpipe needs to be preheated. If it's not hot enough, the glass won't stick to it properly. It'll pop and crack. The glass is coming out of here at 2100 degrees, give or take 50 degrees. That's a gather glass.
I got started by going to college at Anoka Ramsey, and when I found out they had glass blowing, it was like, well, I would like to try that. That looks like fun. That's something I could get into. Anoka Ramsey was a 2-year college, so I wanted to go back to school to work on an art degree. So I started attending University of Minnesota to work on an art degree. Moved up here in 2002 to build White Pine Studio.
This process is called marvering. I believe or have been told that marver is Italian for marble. And in the olden days, it was a piece of marble rather than a piece of steel. This is little bits of color called frit. This flower bowl is going to be a red and blue and pink.
Having blown glass for over 40 years and learning in the early years the craft of glass blowing, learning how to make the objects and shapes that I need to make or wanted to make. And then going back to school later on, I learned more of the art side of things, the ability to throw some ideas against the wall and see what sticks. Making the same thing over and over again, trying to make it a little bit different, but within constraints of a wine glass or a martini glass or a bowl. After making lots of those pieces, then going back and assessing what parts of it worked and what parts didn't. And those are my inputs into that. That is my interpretation of it. And then my deciding what I want to include and how I want to mash those things up into a final product.
So this is the start of the layering process of color for this bowl. Most of the color is going to be focused on the bottom middle of the bowl.
So we'll add color, and then we'll get more glass and add more color, more design to it. And then start inflating those gathers of glass to create a bubble. We'll add vines to the outside of it, and those will be added as a bit of glass that'll get trailed onto there, that organic, natural sort of design to it. I think for beginners, the biggest challenge for glass blowing is the fact that it always needs to be moving. The puntee is always turning. There isn't an opportunity to really stop and look at what you're doing. The glass, you can't stop it. If it gets too cold, it'll break. If it's so hot, it'll fall off center. If it gets off center, that's a problem for the whole piece. After 3/4 of the piece is done, then we'll puntee the piece, which is applying solid rod with a bit of glass on it to the bottom of the piece, breaking it off the blowpipe, and then we'll start working on the top and opening it up and doing that finished part. So that's where we'll see those first bits of color that we put in there. Although when we're doing it, they're gonna look all the same color. They're all gonna be orange or they're all gonna be black. We won't see the true colors until it cools down the next day. The reasons I make what I make, I like the pieces that people are going to use. I like the stemware and barware type things because I envision people using it and enjoying it.
Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes, and from the state's earliest years, lake life has been a significant part of its culture. The Legacy of the Lakes Museum and Gardens in Alexandria, Minnesota, hopes to preserve this history for future generations.
We're not just boats. We are an entire museum dedicated to lake life and lake culture and the history of boating as an industry. We have so much to offer that even if boats aren't your thing, you'll still love this museum. The Legacy of the Lakes Museum started when a group of individuals who either summered at the lake or were lake residents or lived in Alexandria got together in the mid-1990s, and they wanted to preserve woodboat craftsmanship. They thought that it was something that deserved to be recognized and preserved. We were officially incorporated in 1999 as the Minnesota Lakes Maritime Society, and we were able to open up the museum itself here in 2006. Our mission at the Legacy of the Lakes Museum is officially to celebrate lake life and lake culture and preserve that for future generations. In 2016, we switched our name from the Minnesota Lakes Maritime Museum to Legacy of the Lakes Museum to more broadly encompass things beyond wood boats. So we still have a very large wooden boat collection, but we also do things like art displays, photography, swimsuit history, resort history, fishing gallery. It's not just boats. It's so much more. We usually open mid-May. We're open through October 31st every year. And the reason behind that is that these wood boats, they have to go in special storage so that they don't dry out. We want to preserve them as long as possible. So in the winter months, that's a little bit more difficult. So we shut down the museum. Our main collection, of course, is our over 100 watercraft. So that's everything from a 1970s version of a jet ski to an 1894 launch to 1950s wood classic runabouts. And we just try to focus on how do we interpret these boats with different stories. We have lots of unique and rare watercraft in here. Several of them are one-of-a-kinds. One of our very unique boats here is one of only two that remain as built. It's a naphtha launch from 1895. It's called Frida. Naphtha is like a low-grade gasoline, kind of like lighter fluid, but it worked like a steam engine. So instead of boiling water, you boiled the naphtha, which at the time was actually safer than boiling water. They didn't last very long. During the World Wars, they were stripped of all their copper fittings for the war efforts. So to have one that has its original engine with all its fittings is a very unique and rare thing. The Falls Flyers are made by Larson Boat Works, and Larson is one of those brands that's kind of synonymous with Minnesota and has a lot of recognition. The Falls Flyers came about in the 1930s. They were heavily inspired by Charles Lindbergh's JN-4 Jenny biplane. And Charles Lindbergh, of course, is also from Little Falls, same as Paul Larson, and they were classmates and friends. And so he made these Falls Flyers and kind of a tribute in honor of his friend. You can also see things like the history of Alexandria Boat Works. It's one of the very first boat works ever in the state, and it was around for over 100 years. These little boat works were all over Minnesota. Why? It's because lakes are very prevalent in Minnesota, and boats were essential to commerce and recreation on lakes. We tell the story of local resorts and why people have come to Minnesota for years because of the lakes. Water skiing was invented in Minnesota on Lake Pepin, which of course also borders Wisconsin, but because the inventor, Ralph Samuelson, lived in Minnesota, we get the credit. He had this idea that if you're able to ski on snow, you should be able to ski on water. So he took a pair of snow skis and was pulled behind a powered boat and was able to stand up, and that is where water skiing was developed, and it really rapidly developed after that. Alexandria is one of those communities where we have a very vibrant, permanent residency all year round, but we do also have people who return to the lakes every summer and have been doing that since as early as the 1880s. If you could afford to, you would want to come out to the lakes and just take in the cool breezes. Fishing was a really large thing. There were train companies that would specifically sponsor tickets and excursions if you booked with them to different resorts. And so from this, you get this lake culture of going to the lake. It does make Minnesota special, and the ways we enjoy the lakes now are not that different than how we enjoyed them 100 years ago. We are so incredibly supported by many different communities, not just our local community here in Alexandria, but also the Woodboat community. People love coming in here. Even if you're not into boating, you can still appreciate these boats as art forms because it is a craftsmanship that went into making these boats, and they were aware of every detail that went into these boats. We get visitors from far and wide because they've seen us advertised or stories have been written about us in different boating magazines. We do a classic boat show every year in July, and so we have lots of involvement from the Woodboat community in that, and the community here in Alexandria who come out to see all the wood boats. It's important to preserve the history of lake life and lake culture because it's very ingrained into who we are as Minnesotans and Minnesota culture and Minnesota history. People have been coming to lakes in Minnesota for generations. We're the land of 10,000 lakes. What makes us special is our lake life and lake culture. And so it's just a story that we want to tell and make sure people are aware of.
Joe Wawra of Red Lake Falls, Minnesota is a master woodcarver who uses various chainsaws to craft amazing designs like bears, cartoon characters, and eagles. It all started as a hobby years ago, but today his business, Klondike Carvings, is both his livelihood and his passion.
It's a hard job, but I enjoy it, and every morning I'm thankful I get to come out and make some more sawdust. I'm Joe Wawra from Red Lake Falls, and my little business here is called Klondike Carvings. I've been carving with a chainsaw for about 20 years now. Part-time to start, but now it's just a full-time. It's all I do, so keeps me out of trouble and busy. My wife and I built a log house down between the two rivers in Red Lake Falls where the Clearwater and the Red Lake River meet. And we built a log house, and then she wanted some decor for it, and she was gonna buy this and that. She had plans, and I told her, well, let me try to make that for you. And she said I couldn't do it, so that challenged me to start. It just kept going. Started selling a few of them, and the more I did, the more I did. And the more that sold, and they just kept working it up. And then I was busy working full-time and building a house and carving some. And then after I got my house finished, then I started carving a lot more. Like every day I was carving, weekends. And word of mouth was most of it. People would come and say, oh, can you make me this? And I'm like, I don't know, but I can try. That's kind of how it started. It was a lot of wonder, you know, can you do it? Will anybody come? Will I make this work or not? You know, you never know until you try, but you got to roll the dice. You got to try it. If I wouldn't have tried it, I would have not been happy. I get most of my wood up north of Bemidji. Some loggers I know up there, and I've been buying from them for about 20 years now. I'm looking for white pine or red pine normally. So I like the white better personally. but they both carve really nice. My style's more like folk art, I guess. That's what I'd call it. I'm not trying to make a realistic looking bear. I make a caricature bear. I do a lot of cartoon characters too. I've done Goofy, Popeye, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, lots of those kind of old classic cartoon characters. Yeah, there's always bears. You can never make enough bears. They're just kind of like meat and potatoes, part of the deal. I've made, I don't know how many. They never were my favorite thing to make, but it's what it is. People want them, so you just keep punching them out. I do a lot of like bears and logs and laying down and different styles. Like on a bear, it's about 9 cuts, and I can pretty much have one blocked out. And then the rest is detail, different saws. I got, I don't know how many chainsaws, 14, 15 different ones that are set up different for whatever I'm doing. And then I'll do the detail part. And then you have tools you have to build yourself, like eye tools, and there's some weird stuff you wind up learning how to make from other carvers. I like my flying eagles, probably are one of my favorite things to make. Anything you're trying to get like flying with the wings spread out is a lot harder than a perched eagle. They're nice when they're done, they're really pretty. I do a flag holding eagle that's really popular. It's a soaring eagle that holds a flagpole. We have a really nice trail system, so I got a bunch of benches that I've done for the city. So people that are on the walking and hiking, biking trails can take a break, sit on a bench. So I got quite a few of those. There's a lot of people in town that have supported me very well. There's sculpture everywhere in town. There's a lot. My favorite way to work is when I don't have to think about it anymore. I just start the saw and my hands know what to do. It's almost like autopilot, where I'm not thinking about what I have to do, I can just do it. That's, I think, when I do my best stuff, my body knows what to do. That's why I like chainsaw. It's fast. I call it speed art. It doesn't take me forever because I don't have a lot of patience. I do hand carve like some of my human faces and stuff with chisels, but more in the winter when I have more time. When it's 40 below out, I don't want to be outside working anyway, so I'll take the hammer and the chisels and knock some stuff out that way. And I enjoy that too, but I do like the saw because you can move a lot of wood fast and things get done. I just want to thank the people for supporting me. It's been hard, it's a lot of work, and it's risky. I mean, I don't know if anything will sell ever, but I got faith in myself and what I can do. I wake up every morning and I'm happy. I'm like, oh yeah, I get to go do what I want to do today.
Pacheen is a group of talented and vibrant musicians exploring the correlation between Irish and Red River Métis traditional music, accompanied by classic Irish instrumentation.
If you know of an artist, topic, or organization in our region that you think might make for an interesting segment, please contact us at prairiemosaic@prairiepublic.org.
You can watch this and other episodes of Prairie Mosaic on Prairie Public's YouTube channel, and please follow Prairie Public on social media as well. I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Matt O'Lean. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Prairie Mosaic.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.